Now, in a bit of a change of format, because we have been joined due to internet issues early by everybody, internet issues caused by me, but everybody else has turned up when I told them to. The Hit Miss Maybe gang are here, so let's have a bit of a change of plan, and we're going to play, because we have them here to play with, the Guess the Price of the Grand Seiko with the full Hit Miss Maybe squad, and see just how often. I wonder if it's one of these things that if you get enough people to say a number, then the average ends up being the correct price, but we'll discover that shortly. But before we do, let's see who is all here. If everyone's got their video on, let's start with who I see. Bottom right-hand side of my screen is Simon. Escapement24. How are you, Simon? Where are you and what are you wearing?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm fully recovered now from the man flu or the lurgy, which has been bothering me for a couple of weeks. So I'm at home in Wales, and I'm wearing the Tissot PRX, the quartz, but it's the one with the fully loomed dial, which is quite cool when it lights up.
Very nice. I think you're maybe joined by somebody else wearing a PRX, but we'll get to them in a minute. Will, where are you, and what are you wearing?
Yes, I'm in my Swiss cabin
Very good.
this evening. And I am wearing my Rolex 1500, the vintage Oyster Perpetual, on a generic NATO strap.
I believe we even have a picture of it for those of you that are tuned into this on YouTube. Very nice. Yes, it is a particularly generic strap, I feel. They're very generic. You can see them everywhere.
Special or
nothing
no.
barking mad about them.
Is that the Bond strap?
Nothing. He wishes.
I wish.
Yes, Adrian wishes that Omega were buying their straps off of him. Next on my screen then is Jake, new to the show, not new to a blog to watch. Where are you today and what are you wearing?
I am in Buffalo, New York, and it's being recorded at a reasonable Eastern Standard Time hour for once. And yes. I am wearing a Cartier Tank Solar Beat, small, so way too small for your wrist, Rick.
Very nice. The Solar Beat though, it's the acceptable face of Cartier. To be fair, definitely the acceptable face of Cartier. Right, David, where are you? What are you wearing?
Listen to this. I'm not sure.
Does it tick?
Can you hear that?
Is it a cricket?
Yes. I finally managed to get one. Yay, came for review. But it's
is it a new one? Is it?
Because it's not really a new one, but it's on sale today. And if you keep finding it,
it keeps going.
Am I the only one that feels that sounds like your wind-up toy is dying?
Yes. But you can relieve that all for just the measly sum of like $3,000, basically.
Is it? Are they automatic? They're not automatic winding, are they?
No, they are hand wound, and in one direction you wind the movement, and in the other you wind the cricket.
I just wondered if there was an automatic version that you could put on a watch winder, and could you make the watch winder go quick enough so that it wound the watch while still switched on, making its noise? Here's a test for Guillaume at Vulcane to try out. Ripley, you are still in the dark in your cave, but what are you wearing?
Well, since it's a shame that you can't see me today because it's so dark here in Los Angeles, but I'm wearing all 5 of my Philippe Dufour Simplicities today. I just brought them out. I'd figured I would just strap them on my arm so you could just bask in their glory, and I'm wearing a Roger Smith around the neck. So I'm
that's a real pain.
It's a shame that you cannot see me and it's so dark, but just know there is just horological excellence. I'm basking in all of it right now.
Yeah, I did used to play a game called Fantasy Wrist Check, but maybe for another day. Kevin, are you in touch with us? This is England calling England. England, are you there? This is Warwickshire calling. Kevin? No, Kevin is there in video but not in voice, so we'll just say hi, Kevin.
Kevin's video is 144p, like he's calling from 2006, I can tell. It takes 18 years for the sound to get here. We'll check back in 2042, Kevin, that's fine.
Is his voice going to come in as a MIDI track?
I can tell you that he is wearing this Tizo PRX Powermatic two-tone, I believe. So I'll do his wrist check for him, and he's somewhere in England. Kevin, just nod if that's correct. Kevin is nodding. I mean, it is hit miss maybe. It's done by signs, so it could be silent. So we could do it as a silent game. You just hold up the signs. So there we go. Kevin is going to play silently for this evening. Hand gestures. No, those kind of hand gestures, Kevin. Hand gestures only. Anyway, right. Let's very quickly play Guess the Price of the Grand Seiko. So let me share the screen if we can get this to work. There we go. New release Grand Seiko Spring Drive SPGA 497 and SPGE 305 Calibre 9R 20th anniversary. So it's a 20th anniversary because, you know, Grand Seiko like nothing if not an anniversary.
20 times the original
Spring
price.
Drive and we have a Spring Drive and a Calibre 9R. They are a Grand Seiko, so they will be more than a grand. But
why
how
were these
much
launched on the same
more
day
than a
and on the same
grand
picture?
are they?
Like, these two watches have nothing to do with one another. Absolutely nothing.
David, when you have to release 1,000 new watches a year, you can't do one per a day. You know that.
Okay,
Just
so
bunch them all up, right? This is like a 1908 and an Explorer 2 debuting on the same picture. It doesn't make any sense.
what's even
I should be
crazier,
asking why are there only 2 watches being launched on that day?
because they launched all of the other
17 new
ones. Because they launched all of the other ones this week. They launched all the other ones. I mean, I wrote the article on these, and they're both just inspired by like the same view of the mountain. One is like the land, one is the sky. The fact that these are actually from the same creation brief, it's not just like they were launched on the same day. It's like, you know, the 2 different views of the mountain. They're actually related. And then meanwhile, we've got other snowflakes and all of that.
All right.
Yeah, so Ripley, one is Ripley's view of a Grand Seiko from his cave in the dark because it's dark burgundy, and the other is light pink, and they're both supposed to be a view of the same thing. One is a GMT and a Spring Drive, and one's a Calibre 9R. There is no sense to this whatsoever. But let's see if there's even less sense to the pricing.
For the poetry of it, before we get into the poetry of it, the dark one, it's supposed to be the earthen landscape with the black bezel being the rock on the mountain, and the dark red is the sun as it reflects off of the ground. So that's the ground one. The other one would be more of the winter time of the year. So we've got like the warm sun kind of, you know, reflecting off of the ice, but you don't get the white of the snowflake. It's a pink flake because it's pink. So there is some poetry there, as usual. Is the connection tenuous?
Okay.
Yes, as usual. So yeah, there you go.
There's only one person to go to when there's tenuous poetry and art about, and that's
to go to every one of the new watches. That way we know what to say about it, because we're all just basically floundering, trying to explain the theme.
Yes.
We sound like morons.
It's all just a fever dream of David Attenborough. And I've never seen sunlight reflecting dark red of any form of rock ever.
But if there was a silly haiku, we'd all be repeating it.
All right. Maybe.
I don't think a haiku.
Hire a haiku writer, because that's what we're all missing.
Right, well, you're the artist in residence at a Blog to Watch Weekly. Is this complete pretension, or is there some artistic merit behind this?
2 views of the same mountain. Oh, come on. I hope it's 2 for 1. Because I'm not convinced. I lived in Japan for a couple of years, and I can this smacks of Japanese poetry all over it, but I don't think there's particularly a lot of substance necessarily behind it. I'm going to be quite controversial and say that. I'm going to say £6,500, if I can say that.
Okay.
But for me, yeah. We're playing guess the price, aren't we, rather than hit, miss, or maybe. I mean,
we are paying.
For me, it's a miss as well.
Guess
but, you know.
2 for the price of 1. You see, we got a price and a hit miss, maybe. I'm actually not going to ask you. No. Listen. I'm not actually going to ask you to guess the prices. I'm going to ask you to guess what is the difference in price between these 2 watches. So, Jake, give me a number. What is the difference in price between a GMT Spring Drive and a 9R movement 3-hander with an asymmetrical power reserve?
The GMT's in steel, and the other one's titanium.
Okay, and the GMT's a bezel. I'm going to say there's a $4,000 difference.
$4,000 difference.
Now, those of you who were listening to last week's show, I think you've already given away the answer to this.
Quite possibly.
Jake, in which direction?
Which is more expensive?
Is more expensive, just because.
Okay. Ariel, what's your guess in the price difference between these two watches?
I feel like elements cancel each other out. Like, we know they charge more for a GMT. We know they charge more for titanium. So, like, I actually think that the price difference between these is very modest, if I had to guess. I'd say it's probably $1,000 maximum.
$1,000 maximum. Kevin, we can't see you, we can't hear you, so I'm going to consult the great watchmaker in the sky and guess that you... No, we can see you. Hold up a number of fingers as to how many £1,000 difference there is between these two watches.
I thought we were going to go
Kevin
back to smoke signals.
Holding up a fist. I'm not sure why he's holding up a fist. One. He's holding up a 1. Kevin has just bought these at auction from Christie's. Well done, Kevin. You are the winner tonight. David. So, David, what is the price difference between these two watches?
Yeah, I do believe that the GMT should be more expensive, but then the titanium should be also more expensive, so I guess that they are both expensive. So I will say that they are both around 8,000, I guess. Something around 8-9. Yeah, thereabouts.
Okay. Will, you've already had 2 guesses. Have a third one.
Difference, I would say, is $2,000 between them. I think they kind of almost cancel each other out, but not quite.
Okay. And we'll go to Simon, who did listen to last week's show and so has to lie now for comedy effect because he knows what the answer is.
Oh, let me think. If Ripley gave away any clues last week, then I would say the difference, he could probably put a cigarette paper between the two prices. So I'm going to say $100.
Right. Ripley, would you care to give us the answers to what these watches are worth and what the difference in price between the two of them is?
I honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't even remember. The only thing I remember was that it was really, really close, and that was like the craziest part of it. So if I'm not mistaken, I think the GMT is less expensive than its titanium sibling, and I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, the GMT is priced at. Actually, let me just go ahead and look this up so we are not wrong.
$6,200.
Yeah, and the other is
$6,300. $300.
So $100.
I mean, when they put the press release together and they thought there's a difference in price between these two watches of $100, should we not just say they're both the same price? Would that not just been the logical thing to do? Or not release them at the same time would perhaps have been the most logical thing to do. Jake, do you feel ashamed of your first guess and go at this game?
No, because I still think most of the pricing is ridiculous. So
That's
I'm actually pleased that they're much less than I expected.
Good. Well, it's still quite nice. They're quite nice, but why you're trying to release them together, the only reason can be because you have to release them together because you're making so many releases. Right, let's do what we're actually here for. It's possible that Ariel might have to leave us, so goodbye, Ariel, if you do. But let's start our first hit miss maybe, which is going to be this, which is hands-on with the Zenith Chronomaster Sport Titanium watch. I have to say I really like this. It's basically the Zenith Chronomaster Sport, but in titanium. David, it still has the El Primero movement. You've not managed after last week to move along the Rolex Daytona movement into it. Unfortunately, so far Rolex have spurned your advances. But you can have a look at this watch in the pictures on YouTube if you're tuned in. But gentlemen, what do you think of this? Is this a hit, a miss, or a maybe? On the count of 3, we'll see who's playing. Go. I didn't bring my sign with me to my hotel, so I'm using the thumbs up mode.
It's a hit.
Okay.
I don't have a sign, so I'm just going to verbally
Ariel has
shout
neither
out.
sign nor camera, so he's just shouting. Okay, so we have 1, 2. I think we have 3 hits. We might have 4. The video's really slow in Warwickshire. Shakespeare doesn't need high-speed internet, so he's not got it. So, Jake, how did you vote and why?
So I voted maybe, and it's all comes down to the class. I mean, I absolutely love the watch. It's even better in titanium. Doesn't feel like a wannabe Daytona like everyone says, but it is a 15-year-old style clasp that has 3 or 4 micro adjustments, not on the fly. You need a spring bar, and over $10,000 you should absolutely have an on the fly micro adjustment. All these watches should, and on a bracelet like this watch should be worn. It absolutely needs it. So that's the only reason I voted maybe. If it had a better clasp, it would be an absolute hit for me.
There we go. We invite Jake onto the show and he actually gives us some logical reasoning as to his vote. The rest of you could obviously do with learning. So let's see if anybody's learned Ripley.
Is that legal?
I say it's a hit. I agree that there's certain things I would say should be done differently on it. I think the premium 4 titanium could have been way worse if they wanted to. So I kind of have to give them respect for keeping it within the realm of possibility. My only critique of the original ones was that they just seemed a little bit too Daytona-y. So this does feel substantially different. But yeah, I agree with Jake. Yeah, put a proper clasp on it at this price point. Many other brands are able to do it, also in titanium for well below $1,000. So they should go ahead and just invest a little bit into that. But as a whole, conceptually I quite like it. I think it'll be interesting to see it in the metal because I think a full titanium, that watch isn't exactly small. I think in full titanium might be quite interesting. But yeah, it's a hit for me.
Cool. I don't know if Ariel's still on the call. Ariel, are you still on the call?
Yes.
No, don't think Ariel. Oh, yeah. How did you vote?
I shot this watch at LVMH Watch Week, and it was a bit of a soft launch for them because they weren't debuting it there, but like a week or two later related to some tennis competition, I think, in Norway. When you lift the watch, you notice that it has all those things you like about the Chronomaster Sport, but with the lightness of titanium, and I think that's something that we can all enjoy. I happen to like the kind of silver on silver look, so I thought it was sort of a little bit of a unique take how they cosmetically approached it. In reference to the bracelet, I completely understand and agree, but there's a slightly different take here. And that is they're actually trying to go for an old look. The Chronomaster Sport is sort of a reminder of like, hey guys, we used to have our movements in the Daytona. And they're trying to evoke that sense of the vintage Daytona. So yes, it's a modern watch, but it's supposed to look and feel a little bit like a vintage one, which again is sort of a strange thing for people like us that want to see modernity out of them. The Chronomaster Sport has been the most popular selection of watches at Zenith currently, and so it makes sense for them to sort of keep making sort of new variations on it. So it's a watch that's designed to meet like a bunch of strange and sometimes completely disparate expectations. The fact that they didn't charge a crazy amount for it, I think, is positive. And if you are someone that likes nicely finished titanium that extends from a case to a bracelet, I think there's a lot to enjoy here. So it's like, if you don't care about this collection of watches at all from Zenith, this maybe will not make you come over. But if you were, already have one or just didn't find a reason to get it yet, and you happen to like titanium watches, again, compared to like a Grand Seiko titanium watch, there's like a lot of value here.
David?
So yeah. I kind of understand the concept of making it look like the old one, but don't you want like old with the new functionality? Like I wouldn't make like a retro car and then specifically not do air conditioning because that was like historically accurate. I'd have it look right, maybe have it an air-cooled engine, keep it all original, but I definitely want a few of the creature comforts, and I think that's like the class
Porsche today sells plenty of performance cars with no air conditioning, and people lap that up. So it's just one of those strange things where some people want that, oh, this looks like the familiar old crappy clasp that I like, and others like us are like, this is from like last century, what the hell are you doing? Like there's no way of satisfying both the people that want that old familiar look and people like us who are like, leave this in 1985.
Well,
I think that's an excellent point. They should. I wonder who will be the first watch brand to do a full on like Porsche and be like, oh, you want the nice clasp? That's another $300.
I think it's Omega with the Hezolite crystal.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's a good start. But if you want the rear windscreen wiper, that's $300. Oh, you want like dual zone climate control in your $80,000 car? That's another. You want a rear view camera? That's another $1,000.
You want a shifting knob? That's gonna cost you.
Yeah, you want an even remotely decent rim or clasp, that's gonna cost you, sir. That's an excellent idea. And this watch actually would be the best base for that, because it's like 11,000, so it's cheap-ish enough to lure you in, because it's like $5 cheaper than a Daytona. And then you would be like, sure, I will splash another 1,000 on a nice clasp, but another 9,000, 1,000 on a nicer bezel, and whatever, right? This is
but what a lot of the car brands are doing, David, is the car brands are actually charging you more money for taking things away now. So it's like you want a stripped out, lightweight version with plastic windows instead of glass, so you're going to pay another $50,000.
The $2,000 tank buckle. I think that's a thing. I mean, it's lightweight.
Right, well, I disappeared, but now I'm back. So who else have we not heard from? Will?
Yeah, I really liked it. I really liked the classic design as well. It reminded me of the 1970s. It looks like it's been etched from a block of pure metal. It's very masculine. It looks great. Case back looks amazing. I love the red text on it as well. It's just a beautiful looking watch, and I'd say it even looks more expensive than it is. And I've got no comment on the bracelet. Nothing to add to what's already been said anyway. But I really like it, and definitely a hit for me.
I mean, it's a $12,000 watch, only an $800 increase over the steel. But if you go onto certain websites, you're getting these at $2,000 below retail, and that's before any negotiation. And I think that's maybe the only problem with this particular watch, is that with the way the market is, it's not like there's a race at the bottom, but you don't need to buy a new one. You can buy a nearly new one, or go in and negotiate hard with your AD and probably get a wee chunk off of this. So that's maybe the only problem I can foresee. Who else has not told us why they voted, how they voted?
I think it's me. I voted hit.
Go on, David.
I think it's a hit, because I think this, in a few ways, buying a ceramic bezel, I think is what the Daytona should be today. I mean, it's titanium. The Daytona does not exist in that form, and it's a 1/10 of a second chronograph with the super fast femtoseconds, which also hints at quite an advanced movement, and all of that for basically 2/3 of the price of a steel Daytona. I think this is right up there. It's movement development. It's an advanced thing on its own in terms of materials and movement. So it's the whole package. And sure, it's a whole lot of money for 11.8, but still, I think it's one heck of a watch for that kind of money.
Good stuff. Anybody else?
I gotta go. Everyone.
I just agree with all of that. Really, I think it offers really tremendous value. It's a Zenith. I like most Zeniths, so it was probably always going to be a hit for me. But I think they've done a really nice job crafting this one in titanium. And as some of you have already said, that price premium is pretty reasonable, isn't it?
Good stuff. Right. Next up, something a bit different. Let me share this with, so those that are watching on YouTube can see. This is the Tag Heuer connected Calibre E4 green ceramic 45mm smartwatch, and I don't know what those two next words are. VINGT Eyewear. I don't know if it's short for something. I have
27.
It's just VINGT. Oh, it's 27. All right. So they just decided it was good to just. Well, why have they put it in capitals? They've got not only have they changed language, but they've changed font at the same time, or whatever. Well, what is it when you change something from lowercase to uppercase? Is that a name for something?
Eyewear. So I think maybe you get some special glasses with it as well.
Well, they've just launched an eyewear range, haven't they? So is that the name of their new eyewear range?
One can only, there we go, Tag Heuer VINGT, which incidentally is then not in uppercase, so on the actual glasses. So who knows who it is that's doing their what is it you call when you try and get all your logos consistent with each other? There's a name for that which escapes me just now. One of you more clever people will know what it is. What do we think of the Tag Heuer connected watch? Let's have a vote and see. Is it a hit, a miss, or a maybe? Go. We have a miss, a maybe, a maybe, a maybe.
And yeah, it's a miss for
Simon
me.
voting, and a maybe and a miss. So there's no hits, but there's a few maybes. So Ripley, tell us why it's a miss.
I have kind of an odd problem with Tag Heuer smartwatches. For luxury smartwatches, I've made a case for them before when I covered the Hublot World Cup watch. And I think if you're going to do a luxury smartwatch, you better go really hard. It's got to be, a brand like Hublot, where it's ridiculous, they can't contradict themselves, and having like a giant digital Big Bang, as a way to just like flex your wealth in smartwatch form. I kind of get the point of that. Tag doesn't quite have that ridiculous cachet as Hublot. And then if I was going to spend serious money on a quote unquote luxury smartwatch, I'd get something from the Garmin Mark series because it's objectively a superior smartwatch and product from that point of view. It's not using the same kind of, Snapdragon processor and Google OS. It's, it's very much its own product. So it's, aesthetically, it's not a bad looking watch, but if I'm going to get a luxury smartwatch, it's either going to be the very, very purposeful Garmin or the ridiculous Hublot with the, digital minute repeater that I can chime off at the bar and show to my friends, so this is kind of in that weird neither here nor there space for me where it's too expensive for being something I could practically use in my everyday life. I also can't pronounce the collaboration name. So it's a miss for me.
They won't be your friends anymore, but you can show it off once.
Simon?
Yeah, as you know, I'm a pretty big Seiko fan. One of the few that are still out there. I want to like this watch. I've always wanted to like smartwatches. I think that the Connected is one of the few smartwatches that actually looks and feels like a watch. But it's not the best smartwatch, if that will make sense. I think most people probably accept that the Apple, whatever that watch is called, is probably the best one out there. I don't have any experience with the Garmin, so I can't really comment on that one. So I think that this is a great concept. I don't know whether they have executed it as well as they should.
Will?
I have an Apple smartwatch, and it's just purely for the functionality of recording what little exercise I do. If I was going for something else, I'd probably go for the Mont Blanc Summit smartwatch because I think that looks nicer, quite a bit nicer. And for me, it was a miss. Yes, just generally smartwatches are just a little bit cold, a little bit soulless. Not to criticize them just for the sake of that, but the style design didn't necessarily appeal to me for this one. I think there are nicer smartwatches out there.
And finally, David, because we appear to have lost about 3 people in the process. That was what they thought of the Tag Heuer.
Yeah, I can understand why they
literally left the building.
They were like, "Well, it's late hour. We're talking about Tag." Fair enough. I think it's a decent execution on something that I personally don't want. And I feel for Tag Heuer because I always feel like they put an almost unreasonably high amount of effort into this product. They feel like, oh, let's put all this engineering, all this care and attention into it to make it even better than it used to be. Whereas people will just shrug and either buy one on a whim or not care too much or just buy whatever else, right? The Monaco or a Carrera. So for me, it's an odd product even from Tag Heuer, but I feel for them. I understand that they do put a lot of effort into it. It feels like a bottomless pit though. On the other hand, it's expensive. It's very difficult to make any form of sense of, but I respect the effort. So that's why I give them a maybe on something that I would not wear on a daily basis.
Okay, well, our final for today, which will be much quicker and no doubt everyone will regret not having stayed on, for the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean chronograph in some fancy new colours. So, what do we think of this? Omega quietly introduces 6 Seamaster Planet Ocean 600-metre boutique editions. I'm a big fan of the Planet Ocean, but should they have kept quiet about it? So is this a hit, a miss, or a maybe? And Ripley, you can scream at the top of your lungs as to what you think.
It's a hit. I just wish they communicated it a little better, but I like the watches.
Good stuff. So a couple of hits, some maybes, and we're not quite sure what David is voting because his video is lagging. But there we go. Or at least his video in my little hotel room by the time it reaches me via 15 satellites. David's given it a hit. So there we go. Yeah. Let's start with you, David. Why are these releases a hit? And why did Omega stay so quiet about them?
I'm not sure why they did. Maybe they do have too much on their hands as Seiko does. It happens. These are still way too thick, but I do like them quite a lot. I like these subdued colorways, and it's too rare these days. So, wow, it's a classy selection of some really cool watches. They're not outrageously expensive, at least not. I mean, they're all under 10 grand.
All under 10,000. There's like some 7,000s there.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable, and I quite like this direction. I hope to see more of this.
Ripley, what did you think? And is this kind of colorway showing the future of colors, or colors heading in a more muted direction?
Maybe we've kind of been at peak funky, vibrant color saturation for a few years now. So maybe this can be a swinging back. These kind of military-inspired colorways of this trio, I think they're good-looking watches. I also think as Omega as a brand continues to get, be more and more of a luxury manufacturer, their products have noticeably gotten more flashier. I mean, look at the Seamaster Pro from the 90s till now. It's a very different watch, despite having a very consistent design language. So I kind of like these military-themed Planet Oceans. The three-hander in gray almost feels like something that you could have seen on Daniel Craig's wrist in some of the earlier James Bond films that he did. So I think these are good-looking watches. I like kind of the more utilitarian direction for Omega. So do I wish they were thinner? Yes. Do I wish that Omega communicated them a bit better? Sure. But objectively speaking, I think they're good-looking pieces, so it's a hit for me.
Great stuff. Simon?
Yeah, I think I said it a maybe on these, and I think that some of the colours work really well. I really like that grey one. Some of the other colours I'm not so sure about. I think overall, I think the Planet Ocean is it's not for me, but I appreciate it. If that makes sense. It's too big for me. It's too thick. It would probably feel like I was wearing a knuckle duster. But I can see why people like them, and I think they've got a great product there. And I think, they've done a good job with some of the colours.
Great stuff. And finally, Will.
I really like the Planet Ocean. I like it for the fact that it's big and chunky, and it's unashamedly a dive watch. I prefer it in the more vibrant orange that we've kind of seen it in previously, or traditionally it has been in for quite a while. The grey one works. I'm not so sure about the other colorways. To be honest with you, I think for a watch like that, it needs to be either more muted, or it needs to be something vibrant, like a vibrant orange or a vibrant yellow, for me anyway. So that's why I've said it was a maybe. It will definitely pick up a lot of sales. But for me, I think there are other Planet Oceans I'd probably go for.
Great stuff. Well, if you made it this far on the podcast, then well done, because you made it further than at least 4 members of the team who were originally on this call. So
what did
well
you
done
say,
for
Rick?
sticking it out to the end. It was bringing that tag Heuer on that seems to have tipped everybody over the edge.
So polarizing. It really is.
But there we go.
I didn't realise that people are supposed to vote with their feet.
Exactly, voting with their feet, voting with their getting out of Zoom, getting out of Dodge. Whenever they see something electronically powered, maybe they were just that disappointed at the guess price of the Seiko results, but there we have it. Anyway, thank you all very much for listening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us, and joining us all again in a week's time. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.